Hey, Jeannie Lynch coming back to you today, continuing our beautiful series, Spiritual Stories Worth Sharing. And I'm really excited to introduce you to Rae Carter. She has this beautiful story that she's going to share, and it's really her journey through finding out she had cancer, going through that process, and coming out the other side, as she says, with grace. So we're going to be sharing that. But so here's some questions to lay up and get into this topic today. Do you absolutely believe that everything is energy and energy is everything? Do you believe that? Do you believe that we truly have the ability to heal ourselves and need to take responsibility for our own health? And then the last question is, do you also believe that, when we do get sick, it's important to kind of take some of the responsibility maybe on us and say, were there things that I was doing? Was I pushing too hard or pushing through things and I wasn't paying attention to my body? So do you believe that we should take responsibility? That question also is something we're going to be talking about today as Rae Carter brings us through her journey and her self-discovery and a beautiful story worth sharing. That beautiful interview, that person is coming up next. So stay listening, stay watching. I can't wait to share. So let me show you a beautiful picture of Rae Carter. I'll let some beautiful pictures flash up as I absolutely read her bio. Rae Carter truly is the light in the dark, a woman who was transformed by cancer, a voice of heart-centered social change that honors the cycles of nature with compassion and empathy for all living beings. She's also an empowerment coach, a healing navigator, and a social change facilitator, along with a musician. Rae speaks and writes about the wisdom that she's learned during her journey and how committed she is to helping others heal and to reclaim their power and use their voice. Rae lives with her partner and animals in Vermont, where they grow organic medical herbs, facilitate healing events, and create music with the Hugo Den Music Collective. You can connect and follow her on all her social media platforms, RaeCarterEmpowr. Without further ado, let me bring you Rae Carter. She's coming up next, so stay listening, stay watching. Can't wait for you to meet her. Hey, Rae Carter, so excited to see you again and reconnect with you. I know we've been talking offline, but thank you for your time today. And as you know, whether you're watching this on HD Color on my YouTube channel or following this on the Intuitive Mindset podcast, I really do appreciate people and you sharing your stories of inspiration and your awakenings that you've had that kind of placed you as to why we've connected in this little series I'm doing called Spiritual Stories Worth Sharing. So as you know, the criteria is that you have to have gone through something, had something you feel that you have to offer the world out, and then just share our little journey with you or share your journey with us. So if we could start to the very beginning, I've already read your bio. I've already kind of set up you the best I feel I can, but maybe you could start with us and tell us the beginning of what event took place so we can get to know you better.
Well, Jeannie, thank you very, very much for including me in your series and inviting me to be on this show. I'm really grateful to be here in this moment. I know it was some work for us to get here, and I'm grateful to be here in this present moment and sharing with you and your audience. And yeah, it's been a challenging 10 years since I last saw you. There's been a lot of loss, there's been trauma, there's been autoimmune health issues, and things kind of spiraled even more with career burnout, adenomyosis, which is a disease of the uterus that I was diagnosed with, some really intense arthritis, anxiety, depression, and all kind of culminating with a breast cancer diagnosis.
I think I've followed you through this whole process and I've witnessed your journey, and to say it's been difficult would be an understatement, right? And I know we talked offline about how we could go to that dark place and really take us through, but you really wanted to make sure that the message that you spread today was the one that has you on the other side of this, right? And not to not to dwell on how hard it was to get here. So what would be a good start point for you? You know, obviously the question's going to be, how did this change your life? But maybe you could go to a little bit of kind of that opening for you and how you ended up on this side. We called it grace in your intro, as you saw. So take me there. Take me to the gift you feel you have to offer.
Yeah, I mean, this whole journey really did change my life. I mean, it ultimately served as the wake-up call for my life to really change everything. And the kind of culminating event with the cancer diagnosis really created the space for a complete healing journey of mind, body, and spirit. And everything changed. I mean, my perspectives on life, on what I think is important, changed. My perspectives on kind of the world, my opinions, my entire lifestyle completely changed. My nutrition, how I interact with people, really understanding and managing and honoring my boundaries and how I communicate and how I manage expectations. So all of these things, and it's a continuous journey. I mean, I don't look at healing as something that ever ends. It's a continuous process.
I know you mentioned in your notes to me when we were going back and forth about, earth and nutrition and trust. And there's so many people taking this journey right now. So maybe get into a little bit of that. I know you said you changed the way you were eating and so your earth. And I saw that you have these, I saw your garden. We showed your garden. It's amazing to me. Take us through a little bit of how you were able to navigate through this practice through those changes. That would be great to share.
Yeah, a big process for me was learning to start to trust my intuition again. That was something that really had been I stopped and just kind of had stopped trusting my intuition over the years. And so reconnecting with myself and learning to listen to myself and learning to kind of listen to the messages that are coming through, kind of through the earth, through the universe, and being able to trust that, being able to also feel emotions. And, I did a lot of connecting with water and reconnecting with kind of my true elements, my true characteristics as a person that really had been kind of scrunched up in a very patriarchal, dominant, career-oriented society, and really being able to feel my emotions, learning how to move them through my body. And kind of that whole process helped me reclaim my femininity, which was really, really powerful for me. It was really the important way that I was able to start to face my fears and be okay with coming face to face with my shadow self and my shadow side, and learning to trust all parts of me and accept all parts of me. Really kind of made that pathway to beginning to heal, kind of culminating more recently with starting to realize that my self-worth and that I can believe in myself. And I think there was a really poignant moment for me when it was like this, like there was lots of different awakenings, but this moment of nothing is going to change if I don't believe in myself.
I love that. Oh, I love that.
And that was
this is a world problem, or you think this is more, I hate to say women versus men, but I typically am surrounded by so many more women than I am men. But it seems that this is more of a women's issue. Would you agree to that?
I think it's both. I think that the earth and all of humanity is very unbalanced right now. It's very, very strong on this protecting, fighting, destructive, masculine energy, and a full rebalance is needed for men to be able to reclaim their kind of feminine qualities, and then also for women to be able to, it's okay to feel their emotions and to reclaim their femininity. And that's kind of part of like that reclaiming and that power is a part of, I think, what can start to switch the imbalance.
Yeah. Take us to the shift that we're really all wanting to get to, that state of consciousness, right? Mm-hmm. That the planet is taking right now. When I saw you online a couple months ago, which was really the reason I reached out to you, you had this fascinating YouTube video, and I'll put the link below so people can watch it. And I know it might take you back a little bit into a space you don't want to stay, but bear with me. I do think it's worth opening up the door. I was fascinated. Let me tell you kind of why I'm fascinated, and then why I thought it was a good fit for this show too. I'm in my own health issue right now, and I'm in my own healing journey, discovering and feeling like there was some emotions that I had tied to my grief that I was storing in my arm and my throat with my communication and my YouTube channel. I mean, all these things were starting, that I was feeling, were starting to manifest in a health diagnosis, right? So there was some reasons that these things had kind of showed up in my life. You were talking about this beautiful map, and we'll show it when we get into it. You called it a mind map, right? Is that what it's called?
I think so. That's
okay. It was a great word, right? But what you did was you were talking about your diagnosis and your other diagnosis, and you went through this whole process, and I'll show it up on the screen right now, but take us not into the great detail, but just the conversation, that the responsibility of us being and taking care of our own health and finding out what the cause root is. If we're going to make these changes, right? It's not just the nutrition. It's not just stop smoking or whatever it is that you're doing, the alcohol that's killing you, right? So take us through what you would like to say about that. I know you have a lot to say.
Yeah, I developed this mind map while working with a naturopathic breast cancer specialist. So I navigated both holistic and conventional medicine for my journey. And while kind of this is still of course, in process in some ways, but it was important for me to get down to the root causes and the underlying issues in all of the health and the interconnectedness, not just treating one symptom. And so I was able to, through a series of DNA and toxicology testing and all of these different pieces, get to kind of what was the DNA mutations in my mitochondrial DNA.
Okay.
When you get really scientific. And that allowed us to see where the toxins lied in my body and getting to kind of the root causes of the diseases. And then looking, if we are looking at that diagram, really it's not so much that I'm treating breast cancer or anxiety, it's that I'm treating insufficient digestion. I'm treating poor liver function. I'm treating estrogen dominance. I'm treating inflammation, excess androgens. So I have this entire healing treatment plan that treats those different root causes.
Oh, I love
so that I can really work towards prevention in the future of everything by treating the underlying diseases. And it's a mind, like it's that kind of looks at it from a very physical approach, but it's a very mind, body, spirit connection, because it's true. There's so much trapped energy that sits in certain places of the body, and how that can really wreak havoc on health issues on a lot of different angles. And so really getting to learn like the anatomy of my body, and then trusting my intuition and working with different healers to kind of move the energy, balance it with the right food, the right movements. And it's a slow process. It takes time. I mean, this has been a 2-year process since the breast cancer diagnosis. So this kind of, proactive healing journey has been kind of a 2-year process. But
that message was for me right there, because the patience has been a really hard thing, and I keep saying through my journey, love myself through it. I'm grieving myself and loving myself through it, right?
And it's healing from 10 years of trauma. So it takes a long time for these things to develop. So it takes time to heal from them.
Let me say that again. I'm going to have you say that again. What you just said is so important. It takes you so long to get to the places that we're at. We expect to turn it around in 24 hours. And it shouldn't take as long as it took us to get sick, right? Hopefully that's not what we're saying. But what we're saying is be patient and love yourself through it, right? Love that. What did this teach you about yourself? I know you said, teaching intuition and to be connected to self and all that, but is there any aha moment that you've had beyond? What has it taught you about yourself?
Well, I mean, it's taught me to really understand that disease is based in trapped energy in the body. That I really needed to learn how to honor my creativity and to really recognize that I'm a creative, emotional, intellectual, really vibrant person, and that to really honor kind of who I am as a whole person, which is why I'm kind of going by my childhood nickname, Rae,
Yeah, I love
instead
that.
of Rachel, which is what I used to go by. And there was just so much inspiration that I got from connecting to the earth and from like rooting into the ground and being able to hold space for myself. I did a lot of singing in the woods and letting kind of energy move through me, and I could visualize kind of bringing light in and releasing energy out. And I often would visualize cancer releasing out of my body down into the earth, into moss. I would see moss a lot, and like would envision it moving in through the moss, which filters water and cleanses water, and being transformed into energy to kind of like help earth healing. So
I'm seeing a new YouTube video for you. You have to get out. I would love to see you get out in the woods and take us through, do a video. If you do that, let me know. I'll share that everywhere. Show people what you do out in nature, right? I love that.
I'll send you a link. There's a little one that I did of just kind of a poem with a couple of visualizations like in the
Mother
woods.
Earth, right? Who's going to take better care of us than her?
Right.
I love that. On my questions that we went through, one that I really love asking is, if you knew then what you know now, right? What would you do different? Or, a lot of people say, oh, Jean, I love where I am. I had to get here. But is there anything you would have done different if you knew then what you know now?
6 months ago, a year ago, I probably would have said some other things, but now I've really come to understand that this is my soul journey. And I called this in. And if I did things differently or certain things didn't happen, they would happen in another way. And I think that this journey in my life here, I'm a very old soul. I've been around for a while, and I'm here to learn some really hard lessons. And that's become very clear to me. And so that's why I'm here. I'm here to learn some hard lessons. And then I'm here to hopefully, as I'm working towards, be able to get through whatever this kind of big lesson of this lifetime is and move up in consciousness.
Yeah, I love that. Can I share my own little journey with you in the energy of what you just said? I think we even talked about this when we were on the phone together. After I had lost my daughter, I was like, oh, the lesson of grief, and kept seeing everything because it was such a challenging time to go through those lessons. And just recently, I've upgraded that word to experience. And it's really helping me and soften that, because we are here to learn, God's school, whatever you want to call it, but we really asked for this experience. We said, not just, send me this so I can learn what it's like to heal myself, but the experience that the healing affords me, the experience that grief affords me, forgiveness affords me. There's such a lesson, there's such a blessing. That's the word, So I love your awareness to that, Rae. And I also want to note, our name is so important. Vibration, when I'm doing spiritual work with people, the first question I ask is, what is your name and what do you go by? And I used to go by Jean. People know me as Jeannie. Those are two different vibrations. So Rachel is how I knew you. I now know you as Rae. And it's so important. Our name is a vibration. So I love that you're reclaiming your childhood, right? By going back to your childhood name. I love that. What do you think you have to offer others? I know you have all these different platforms, and I'm going to put all your links below, but if you could do a little promo for yourself today, I know that might be hard for you because that wasn't your intention of meeting with me, but I do want people to know how you can assist them. Are you a healer now? Is that what you're calling yourself?
No, I'm not using the language of healer. I think that that's not a word for me to determine if I'm called that. I am engaged in healing work. I'm also engaged in voice work and communication work in a very different way. I think more of what I have to offer people are like trinkets of knowledge and words of wisdom, and encouraging the creation of space so that we can feel our emotions and so that we can really experience what it means to reconnect with your intuition, and, encouraging people to question everything and to really learn about their trauma or their disease or what it is that they might be struggling with. Because if you're alive on the planet right now, you have trauma. I mean, it doesn't have to be cancer. It's really anything. And listening to your heart, letting your emotions really drive you and speaking your truth. And so a lot of my work is around how to encourage people to stand in their power and speak their truth.
I love that. You mentioned I mentioned in the intro, Hugo Dance Den. So you have your garden that you do, plants for people and food. So take us through some of the things that you actually do for your healing. So do people come in and you go outside and do drum circle? Take us through what that is. I would love to hear more about that.
That would be lovely. I'm just getting started. Okay. So there's not a whole lot that I'm full on actively doing right now. I do hold some women's healing circles. And I think at the time this video comes out, it'll be a week or two away from the launch of my website. So there's information there, and anywhere on my social media, you'll be able to link to that. But yeah, our intention is to, I'll be doing different levels of work in writing and speaking and consulting and healing navigation support work with people. But also we want to be able to make the land that we live on we want to share the healing sanctuary component with more people. And so we really want to figure out how we can bring more people onto the property. We do a few little things. We do a yearly retreat that we just started last year. And so there'll be more with that as kind of we roll into the next several months and into the summer.
I love that. Well, if you need a goddess yoga person to come up and visit you let me know. I have people down here that would love to see Vermont.
In the summer.
Yeah, in the summer. Good point. Before we get to our wrap up, because we did just want to introduce you today and kind of share your story and what you have to share, and we're doing such a beautiful job of that. Have I missed anything when you were thinking like, geez, Jean's asked me to talk and I want to make sure I say this because it's really my message right now? If I missed anything that I would love for you to get the opportunity to share?
There's so much. There's so many different levels. I think.
What's your point of inspiration for people?
Yeah, I think I have some inspiration. I have a lot of different inspirational things I think of. I think, one thing that kind of encapsulates all of it is I really truly believe that healing ourselves is the starting point to transforming our entire culture to one of love, hope, dignity, and respect for all of us, with integrity and reciprocity to the air, soil, and water that give us all life.
That right there is your inspirational message. We just might have to coin that. That was beautiful. Don't change a thing. I love it. So, you know what I think that means? I think that means we're ready for our rapid fire questions. Are you ready for this? These are 1 and 2 word questions, nothing long and thought out. My first question for you is, what is your favorite spiritual book?
2, Jailbreaking the Goddess by Lasara Firefox Allen and Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer.
2 new books that I'm going to have to look into. Thank you for that. If you were going to change the world today, the world needs what in order to be changed?
Compassion, nurturing energy, and healing.
Woohoo! I double that. Life lesson. We all kind of come here, we think, with some lesson in mind, right? And we seem to live it over and over again. What do you think your life lesson is, Rae?
Right now, I think it's that I'm worthy of being loved. I'm worthy of loving myself. I'm worthy of living a beautiful life. And I'm worthy of being the person that I'm meant to be.
Beautiful. If everybody has things that we love about ourselves, what do you love about yourself?
I love my voice, and I love empowering other people to use theirs.
Yeah, and I know you can sing. I've never heard you sing, but I know you can sing. And maybe this answers number 5. What are you doing when you're experiencing joy, Rae?
Sharing my story, singing it, speaking it, writing it. When I'm sharing and able to be an inspiration to other people, I am experiencing true joy.
Well, we're joyful today to have you on this show. Thank you. So with that, I think that wraps it up. Thank you so much for being part of this. Thank you so much for sharing your version and your story. And it truly is a spiritual story worth sharing. So,
thank you, Jeannie, so much.
Links below, and I truly do appreciate your light and your work. Have a great day.
Thanks. You too. Namaste.